Hi, boys and girls. Today we're going to be reading a nonfiction story about who would win, and we are going to be comparing and contrasting two animals. Hi, boys and girls. I'm Miss Smith. I teach second grade at Oakdale Elementary School, and today we're going to be reading one of my favorite series, Who Would Win? Polar Bear versus Grizzly Bear. In this book, you'll see a lot of comparing and contrasting. That's when we tell how two things are alike and two things are different. I hope you enjoy. Who would win? Polar Bear versus Grizzly Bear. Written by Jerry Pallotta, illustrated by Rob Bolster. During the Arctic winter, polar bears and grizzly bears live far away from each other. But during the summer months, while looking for food, polar bears and grizzly bears sometimes end up in the same location. What would happen if they met each other? What would happen if they had a fight? Who would win? Who do you think would win? Scientific name of polar bear. Urus martimus. Meet the polar bear. Polar bears are considered sea mammals. They spend most of their time on the frozen sea. They prefer to live near the edge of the ice pack. They are the largest of all bears. Fun fact, there are no polar bears in Antarctica. Remember, polar bears, North Pole. Penguins, South Pole. There are no penguins in the Arctic. Scientific name of grizzly bear, Urus arctic horribilis. Meet the grizzly bear. Grizzly bears are mammals that live on land. You can tell grizzlies by the huge hump at their shoulders. This is a muscle they use for digging. Did you know there are no grizzly bears in the southern hemisphere? Sorry, black bear, you are not in this book because you are not as big and ferocious as grizzlies and polar bears. Fun fact, while on a hunting trip, President Teddy Roosevelt refused to shoot an old bear. Newspapers teased him. And from then on, cute stuffed toy bears were called teddy bears. Fun fact, male bears are called boars. Female bears are called sows. Forget about it, giant panda. You are a plant eater and are no match for a polar bear or a grizzly. Cute little panda. Polar bears have snow white fur. Their color allows them to blend in with their environment, snow, slush, and ice. Fun fact, polar bears have snow white fur. Their color allows them to blend in with their environment, snow, slush, and ice. Fun fact, polar bears have black skin, white fur. Polar bear names ice bear, Nanook, white bear, or sea bear. Did you know a polar bear's white fur is actually translucent? Translucent means see-through or clear. Grizzly bears come in 4 different colors: dark brown, reddish brown, and blonde. Fun fact, grizzlies are also called silver tips. These colors allow grizzlies to blend in with their environment, fallen leaves, dirt, rocks, and trees. 10 feet. Did you know the polar bear is an apex predator? An apex predator is an animal that has no natural enemies. Interesting fact, polar bears can stand on their hind legs. And guess what? When they do, they're 10 feet tall. Do you know how tall 10 feet is? Are your parents 10 feet tall? I'm not 10 feet tall. Polar bears are the largest predatory land animals. Polar bears can grow to be 10 feet tall. Here is a kindergartner next to a polar bear. So here's the kindergartner and here's the polar bear. What a difference. A grizzly bear can stand 8 feet tall. They can tower over you. Look, here's a grown-up, an adult, and here's a grizzly bear. They're so tall. Fun fact, grizzlies can also stand on their hind legs. A polar bear paw is larger than this book. Did you know a polar bear paw is slightly webbed? It is like an oar, perfect for swimming. The front paw print and the back paw print of a polar bear. Remember, if you ever see a polar bear footprints, pay attention. Inupiaq people say you never see the one that gets you. And that's probably because they blend in with their backgrounds. They're white just like the snow and the ice where they live. This is a grizzly track. A track is a footprint. Their front claws can be 4 inches long. So here's a grizzly front paw and here's a grizzly back paw. Fun fact, humans have nails on their fingers and toes. Bears have claws. Each paw has 5 long, sharp claws. 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. And they look pretty long to me and sharp. Polar bears are excellent swimmers. They can swim farther than 50 miles at one stretch. Polar bears mostly eat meat from the ocean. Walrus, seals, sea lions, and fish. Seals are their favorite food. Fun fact, polar bears do the dog paddle. Did you know? Yikes! A polar bear can eat a human, but it hardly ever happens. Not many people live near polar bears. Grizzly bears are good swimmers, but they prefer standing in a river to catch fish. If a grizzly stands in the right spot, a migrating salmon might jump right into its mouth. Interesting fact, grizzlies eat salmon, trout, apples, berries, honey, and anything they can get their paws on. Grizzlies have also been known to eat moose, elk, caribou, rodents, sheep, grubs, and clams. Not a fun fact. Each year, grizzlies eat a few people. That is definitely not a fun fact. Open wide. Polar bears have carnivore teeth, canine teeth in front and huge molars in the back. Important fact, polar bears can smell a seal through ice 3 feet thick. Fun fact, carnivore means meat eater. Grizzly bears have teeth that are similar to a polar bear's. Grizzlies have such a good sense of smell that they can detect a dead animal 10 miles away. What a great distance. A polar bear can run 25 miles per hour. That is faster than a human can run. Polar bears can run down some caribou. So, who would win if they had a fight? The polar bear or the grizzly bear? Grizzly bears look slow, but don't be fooled. Grizzly bears can easily outrun a human. They are fast. Did you know a grizzly is faster on land? A polar bear is probably faster on ice. So grizzly bears can run 35 miles per hour. That's pretty fast. Here is a polar bear skeleton. Goofy fact. All polar bears are left-handed. Wow, I'm left-handed as well. Interesting fact, the sun bear from Asia grows to be only about 5 feet tall, the average height of a human. Bear skeletons are somewhat similar to a human's. 4 limbs, 5 fingers, 5 toes, backbone, ribs, head, neck, and hips. Here is the skeleton of a grizzly bear. They look similar. However, this polar bear looks a little longer, and that may be because the polar bear is taller than the grizzly bear. Sad fact, the silver bear from Mexico was hunted to extinction. Do you know what extinction means? That means they're no longer around. There are no more silver bears. Interesting fact. Scientists have studied bear DNA and think that the polar bear and the grizzly bear are descended from the same animal. Both adapted to their environments. Polar bears prefer the sea. Grizzlies prefer to live on land. Only an expert osteologist, a bone scientist, can tell their bones apart. Polar bears are solitary animals. They rarely fight each other, and mostly they stay away from each other. Grizzlies are also solitary animals, but groups of grizzlies sometimes fish together during a salmon migration. Male polar bears do not hibernate. They spend all winter looking for food. They might build a snow cave to sleep away an unusually bad storm. And here's the snow cave that they built. Female polar bears build a maternity den, usually in the snow and ice, to spend the winter and take care of their cubs. This conserves the mom's energy. Did you know hibernation is when an animal goes into a resting state of inactivity with a slower heartbeat, no eating or drinking, and a lower body temperature? Just before winter, grizzlies eat as much as they can to fatten up for a long sleep. Grizzly bears have a deep winter sleep, but it is not true hibernation. A grizzly can wake up and suddenly attack you. In the springtime, grizzlies are hungry. Watch out. Funny polar bear stories. A U.S. Navy nuclear sub surfaced in the Arctic ice only to find a few polar bears snooping around. Sometimes polar bears take naps in the funniest positions. Oh, wow. Do you ever sleep like that? That looks comfortable. A famous nature photographer waited for days to get a good picture of a polar bear. He was eating lunch in his pickup truck one day when he saw a big surprise in his rear view mirror. So there was a polar bear right there in the back of his truck. Funny grizzly bear stories. An Alaskan man came home to find a grizzly bear relaxing in his jacuzzi. Oh no, and he's drinking a lemonade. A sailor anchored in a harbor in Alaska was awakened by a noise. He found a grizzly walking around his yacht. Scared out of his wits, he pushed the grizzly off with an oar. Using a cheeseburger, a tourist lured a grizzly bear into the car. The foolish man wanted to get a nice picture of the bear sitting with his wife. The woman screamed, and the confused bear ran away. Do not ever try that at home. Bears are not safe to lure with cheeseburgers. It is summer. A polar bear steps off the ice onto a beach. A grizzly bear comes out of the woods. They see each other. They can smell each other. Both bears stand to get a better look. Then it happens. The grizzly charges at the polar bear, growling and showing his teeth. The polar bear crouches down, paws up, ready for battle. Running at full speed, the grizzly knocks over the polar bear. The polar bear gets right up and fights back. Whap! He smacks the grizzly in the face. Ouch! They claw, scratch, and bite. It's a nasty fight. They wrestle, each trying to get the advantage. Rolling around, both bears get dirty from the sand and mud. The grizzly is relentless. It keeps on fighting. Suddenly, the polar bear sees no point in fighting anymore. There is no reason to fight to the death. The polar bear runs away. The grizzly wins, but now he is sore and tired. He hopes he never runs into a polar bear again. These two bears are so similar, next time the outcome could be quite different. The end. I hope you enjoyed that book of Who Would Win. And if you said the grizzly would win, then you were absolutely right. But because they are almost the same, or they have almost the same characteristics, it could be different the next time they meet. So maybe you could pick two of your favorite animals and talk about the similarities and differences they have to each other, and then write who would win.